What is up, everybody? Take two on this. I hope I sound better. But guys, I always start this show off by showing love to those companies that help make this podcast possible. Had a little technical difficulties, so we are doing a round two. So first, I want to start off with my friends over at Camel City Mill. They make some of the best socks in the business for the working man. Um, I say this all the time. It's not just about the boots, it's about the socks you put in said boots. And nobody does it better than Camel City Mill. They're going to keep your feet warm, they're going to keep them dry, and they're going to stay comfortable inside of those boots. I promise you that. I wear them myself. So if you are interested in giving these things a try, which I highly suggest you do if you can, they're not cheap. I'm not going to lie. They're not the cheapest socks, but they are high quality and they have all different kinds, high, mid, low. They're amazing, amazing socks. If you're interested, there's going to be a link down in the description. You can click that or use my discount code Uncensored10. It's going to save you 10% on your order. So go try out some amazing socks with my friends over at Camel City Mill. Next, guys, is my friends over at Yellow Jacket. They are my longest running sponsor. I love them. I love the fact that all their products are made in the United States of America, which is big. A lot of people try to save money. They want to ship it overseas. I get it. It's a manufacturing thing, but they don't. And I love that about them. That's why they've been my longest running sponsor for the all 8, 9, whatever years that I've been podcasting. Yellow Jacket has been with me since day one. So I am forever grateful for them. You guys know that I will never go tell you to spend your money anywhere. I just bring up ideas. If anybody is out there trying to spend some of that money they made this summer and they want to get a new manifold, check out the Titan Max. I think Yellow Jacket knocked it out of the park with this as far as features and durability. Most of you know I torture tested these things and I have beat the living hell out of it. And I want it to be fancy. Don't get me wrong. I want it to have the features and stuff like that. But I also want it to do what I intended it to do, like what I bought it for. I want it to turn on because we drive in vans and we try to take care of our stuff, but sometimes it's going to hit this, it's going to hit that. And I don't want to have to treat it like it's fragile. And I don't want to drop it because now it's going to break. Yellow Jacket stuff does not do that. So if any of you are looking to spend some of that money, I always tell people to buy local. If you can't, you can go check out my friends over at Yellow Jacket. You can get them at True Tech Tools. Use the discount code Uncensored and save 8% on your order. And like I said earlier, I'll say again that I want people to know. I know a lot of people have already bought into a certain manufacturer when it comes to manifolds, whatever it may be, and they're afraid to switch. I get it. I completely understand that. Using the MeasureQuick app nowadays, you can link all these different manufacturers and make them all work together so that you don't have to reinvest totally into a whole new manufacturer to try something else. So just know it's an option. If I can ever help, please email me and I'll help you the best I can. With that being said, 75 years of expertise built into every tool. Let's get on to the show for the dose time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. I'm your host, Gil Cavey Jr. Here we are, another Wednesday, another hump day, and thank all of you for being here. And everybody's been here before. This is take two. Thank everybody. I don't know what happened. I did a computer update, so I'm thinking that I should have turned everything off and turned it back on. So thank you for sticking around. But guys, I want to get back into it. I have an amazing show. We're just going to start over. So anybody that was watching it live, I apologize, but it's best for the future. I want to make sure you understand this. But I want to introduce my guest again. This guest is an amazing person. He's been on the podcast several times, at least once, if not 2 other times, to be honest. He's been on several times. We've had the pleasure to meet in person, and I love what he does, and I love when people are good at what they do and they're passionate about it. They're making a difference, and that's exactly what he does, and I love having this conversation, and I can't wait to continue this. So please put your hands together and help do a warm welcome for Mr. Brigham Dickinson of Power Selling Pros.
Hey, Gil, how's it going? Thanks for having me back on.
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry about the hiccups, but I'm glad. I want to make sure people can hear the awesome info that we're putting out and you're putting out. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. My son is this year. My son started HVAC school.
Awesome.
Yeah, the other day he's like, "Dad, I can't wait to get into refrigeration." I'm like, "You're gonna be a tech, bro." He's like, "Yeah, it's called refrigeration." I'm like, "Oh, really?" He was trying to teach me what it's called and what it's like. I was like, "Okay, whatever, son. Do you have your tools yet?" "Nope, I don't have my tools." "Cool. Now I know of a place where he can go." What do we get that discount again? That Yellow Jacket?
So if you go to truetechtools.com, you can use the discount code Uncensored and you save 8% on it.
Uncensored.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Yeah, that's Mr. Bill Spohn and them. They're amazing people, and that is the biggest website with HVAC tools. Everything you could think of is on there. You get points as you do it. Like it's a really cool thing. I tell people to buy local, but if you can't, then that's where I would send them. But yeah, if your son needs anything, let me know. I mean, I have a whole bunch of sponsors and free stuff. So.
Dude, that would be huge. Let's definitely talk afterwards because he's excited. He's excited to get into it. We took pictures in front of the building and everything. He comes home with different scratches on his hands. It's been fun to watch him. It's been fun to watch how excited. Look, in my opinion, it's the smartest decision in the world. I went to college. I spent a lot of money. It took me 10 years to pay it off, and I've got a marketing degree. You know how many times I've been asked if I have a degree? I mean, I don't know, maybe once. Look, I had friends that went to college and they asked me, "Hey, Brigham, what do you do after college?" I was like, "I don't know, probably gonna start a business." Like, "Wow, that's amazing." And how about you? "Well, I can't wait to start a job." "Cool, getting paid what?" "Oh, about $40,000 a year." And I was like, back in my head, I'm going, "I'm already paid that. What are you talking about? Why am I here?"
Yeah.
I asked myself that every day. Every day when I was in college, I was like, "Why am I even here?" So it was really cool to find the heat and cooling industry. In fact, this is something I usually don't share with people, how I got into the industry at all. I don't know, Gail, if that's where you want to start off, but I'm happy to do it if that's where you want to go.
Yeah, go ahead. I want you to go. I want you to say what you said before, but I want to hear this too.
It's coming. Yeah, that's coming too. But this is something I usually don't share. So I.
Oh shit.
As soon as I was done with my mission, I started working at a cinnamon roasted almond company and in the mall. It's during Christmas time. The place was called Totally Nuts, believe it or not. Totally Nuts. And I was giving out free samples, and this guy comes up. His name is Jim Ackerman. And he's the owner of Ascend Marketing. When he first started talking to me, he's like, "Hey, I really love your sales pitch." And I was like, "Great, here, want a sample?" I mean, it wasn't much of a sales pitch. It was just, "Hey, do you want a sample?" I was talking to him about a snack pack, and then we started moving over to the tins, which are a lot bigger and a whole lot more expensive. But hey, you get more nuts. And he liked that. He liked how I took him through it. And he said, "Hey, why don't you come to one of my seminars?" And at first I thought, wow, what is this, some sort of Amway, getting your downline type of thing? And I come to find out it wasn't that at all. It was a legitimate marketing coaching company that worked primarily in the home service industry. So I started working with Jim as one of his youngest coaches, doing marketing, and I was excited about it because that's what I was getting my degree in at the time. And all of my clients were home service companies. one of them, Arctic Air in Chico, California. The owner's name was Royal Hockley. And Royal and I started talking one day, and he said, Brigham, you do phenomenal work. I appreciate everything you coach me on. It'd be much better if you could just come in and do it for me as opposed to coaching me how. And I was like, whoa, time out. You're going to have to talk to my boss. So I shut that conversation down, and sure enough, he calls up Jim the day afterwards. They started talking. They negotiated back and forth, and finally Royal was able to offer me a job, and he did. And I moved my family over to Chico, California, and we started working at Arctic Air, and that's how I got my in the industry.
That's awesome.
And I started answering phones. I did his marketing. There's a guy by the name of Kevin Comerford who used to be the district manager over there. This is back when Service Experts bought up a bunch of companies, and everybody thought it was going to be the biggest thing. It was going to take over the industry, and it didn't. But that's fine. So Kevin was there, and he called me up because he's a district manager before he started his own company called Service Champions North and sold it to Wrench Group years later for, you and I both know, lots and lots.
Yeah.
But before all of that, he was a district manager at Service Experts. And he called me up and he says, hey, Brigham, I'm going to come spend some time with you. And I was like, okay. I mean, this is my boss's boss. Why does he want to spend time with me? So I was thinking to myself, it must be because of all my amazing marketing genius. And so I put together all this marketing stuff and these ideas and some charts and such, and I had it all spread out on the business table there at Arctic Air. So Kevin comes in and he listens to my marketing ideas for about 5 minutes. Very gracious. And he kind of puts his hands on all of my stuff and he kind of moves it to the side. He's like, Brigham, that's really good. That's great. Now, show me how you answer the phones. And I just kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? He said, Brigham, ring, ring, ring. And I was like, thank you for calling Arctic Air. This is Brigham. How can I help? And he paused for a moment and looks at me and goes, that's it? That's how you answer the phone? So, and I was like, I'm sorry, Kim, you kind of caught me by surprise here. What are you looking for? Well, for the next 2 hours, he just drills into my brain how to answer phones, how to take care of customers over the phone, how to answer certain questions, how to take care of certain types of customers, just over and over and over and over again. And after that 2 hours that he spent with me in the doorway, he's leaving. But at the doorway, he turns around and he says, I'm going to call you every other week, Brigham. And whether you recognize my voice or not, because he'd always be in character, right? When I picked up the phone, he was always in character. In fact, there's one time he was. I knew it was him every time. Whether it was a cowboy, whether it was an old lady, I always knew it was him. But at the end, he had announced that it was him, right? Brigham, it's Kevin, and of course, I'd always act surprised. Oh my gosh, that's amazing! I had no idea that it was you, Kevin. That was, boy, you really got me on that one. That was good. Stuff like that. And he would always give me some feedback, and he said, hey, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. And he did that literally for 6 months. And he helped me. Remember, this guy is over 10 different locations in California and in Oregon. And he stops his entire day, his entire schedule to talk to the guy who answers the phones at one of those locations. Pretty amazing. So it definitely had an impact on me, right? That seed was planted in my mind. Now, later on, when Kevin left, started his own business, the new district manager didn't even, he was like, I don't know if we need Brigham around. And so I understood that message, right? And didn't like the corporate world anyway. So as soon as Kevin bounced, I bounced too, started my own marketing company. Well, years later, I merged my company into this technology company that professed to do a manual J in 4 minutes or less. It wasn't totally accurate. Of course, I didn't know that before I merged my company into his. I probably should have made sure it was, hey, we can do a manual J in 4 minutes or less. I probably should have questioned that. You know what I mean, Gil?
Yeah, right.
But I didn't. I thought it was such an amazing idea. I don't want to be the first one to jump on it. And anyway, it didn't work out and the business failed. And I needed to figure out something new. And so I crawled back. I was in Florida for that merger and worked my way back to Utah, which is where I was born and raised. I want to be around family. And I was starting over anyway. So it was good to have that familial support. So I had 3 clients, and the clients were digital marketing clients. And the reason why that is because I was a broker. I was an independent broker for a company called Ouzel Media. They couldn't afford to employ me because it was 2008, but they would pay me for the clients that I brought in. So that's what I was doing. And one of my clients, his name is Troy Nearings. And Troy owns a company called Nearings Plumbing and Heating. And we were generating leads for him, phone calls through this digital advertising. This is back when SEO and pay-per-click was new. So it was kind of an interesting phenomenon, a new way to generate leads. And people were kind of testing it out at the time back in 2008, 2009. And so Troy brought me in one day and he said, Brigham, I've got to put the digital advertising on hold. And I said, well, why? What's going on? And he said, well, these customers calling in, they just want a ballpark price. They just want to know what you charge to come out. They just want to talk to a technician. And as we were talking, I said, Troy, why don't you think those are leads? If somebody calls in saying, hey, I want a ballpark price, they want a ballpark price on what? Your system, right? Their system, right? Well, hopefully it's going to be something that you service, right? But it's their system that's not working, and that's actually something that you do. If somebody calls in and they say, hey, what do you charge to come out? What they're saying is they got something going on that's not working, and they just want to know what it costs first, right? Now, what they're asking about initially is the price. Hey, what do you charge? How much is it? What they're really saying is I don't know the difference between you and the next guy aside from your price. So naturally, your question is, how much is it? Because you don't know the difference. So whose job is it to show them that there's a difference? It's the CSR. The CSR needs to be trained on how to take care of that customer, book that call, allow that customer. And so I was trying to convey this to Troy, and he said, well, who do you think can train them? Now, what Troy didn't know is that I had already been trained by Kevin Comerford years before on how to answer phones. I knew how to book those calls. I knew how to allow those customers. And so I said to Troy, and this is the alternative to getting fired, right? Why don't I just train them? I'll train them. You can keep the advertising going, and we'll increase the call conversion. We'll make sure you're booking these types of calls. I'll train them specifically on these types of calls in order to keep the account. So in order to survive, I did free training for Troy for a while. And so Troy allowed me to do it. His call conversions went up by 20%. Then all of a sudden, he refers me to this guy in Boulder, Colorado, Tom Robichaud with Precision Plumbing and Heating. And Tom said, hey, I hear you're working with Troy. I said, yep. I'm also doing his advertising. And he says, well, that's good. That's great. I don't need any help with advertising, but I'll pay you to train my CSRs. And so I had this light bulb that kind of came up going, holy cow, I could get paid to train CSRs. I could start a business, right? Troy had 6 CSRs. Tom and Troy get together, and they refer me to a guy by the name of Mike Guglielmo, gold medal, East Brunswick, New Jersey. And Mike's awesome. Mike's the same guy that started CEO Warrior, and he's also the same guy who started, I don't know if you're familiar with the Food Dog Group, but even his son has a book. Could you believe that?
Knowing Mike, I can believe that.
Dude, when a genius produces geniuses, you know that there's some sort of dynasty going on, right?
Yes.
And that's certainly what they've got there. But Mike said to me, he said, hey, if you do a good job training my CSRs, I'll refer you to everyone. And sure enough, he started referring us to everyone. His call conversions went up and we were going gangbusters. And of course, I've hired all my friends. I'll have a lot of friends. They're all working with me. and so we've been working together ever since. Barry Gates, my business partner, as well as my younger brother, Nathan Dikinson, both started with me 15 years ago, and they're still with me here at HOMEPROS. And so we went from 6 CSRs to over 1,100 CSRs now. And what we do is we coach CSRs one-on-one twice a month using their own phone calls. It's a bit of a university. It takes about 1.5 years to complete. There's 4 levels of certification, but by the time we're done, they're booking calls, they're wowing customers. They're making sure that you're the only one going out to the customer's home, and they're selling club membership after club membership after club membership. So they're part of your selling process, not just people who answer your phones. And that's what we do.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It's funny. So since the last time that we talked, I've had a lot happen as far as the company I used to run. I took the summer off, and now I took an opportunity to run another company and help them grow. But their CSRs are amazing. And to be honest, I think that they did your training. I don't know if they currently are, because I saw I think it's one of the pre-generated, but it has your name in the owner's email. And just by how they answer phones, I was like, they've definitely been trained. And I love that you guys do this. So to back up a little bit, it's people always think about the techs and the people that install the equipment, like they're important, and they don't think of the office and the importance that they are. Every role at an HVAC company, refrigeration company, plumbing company, whatever, trades in general, has an integral part. So if those people aren't doing those jobs, well, that service guy doesn't have work. That installer may not have an install to do because the salesperson didn't have an opportunity. And the fact that sometimes these CSRs, when they do trained and their pay structure is correct, they can make life-changing money, like legit money for being good at their job. So I love that part and them having the training to be good. And then the other part I want to go back to touch on and love your opinion is so many people, yes, marketing is crazy. There's so many marketing companies. People are throwing money at the wall and they wonder why their marketing doesn't work because they're losing it when the call comes, like what you just said. It's like, well, the marketing company's getting your phone to ring. You're just not doing anything with the calls that are coming. Oh, they're bad leads. Well, what made it a bad lead? Well, I couldn't convert it. Well, that's a you problem, not a lead problem. You know what I mean? So that's why I love that people know these little aspects, and that's how you can really change and grow a company. Like, I think people think that they need to reinvent the wheel. It's already been designed. Now let's just be good at all the different facets, and then we can get this thing moving.
Yeah. Once the phone has rung, the advertising has done its job. What I say to a CSR is guys, if they can fog a mirror, it's a lead. Okay? Let me tell you how that works. My goal is to give them the mindset that everyone coming in is a customer. Everyone. Okay, now some people, when they hear me say that, they're like, okay, well, what about when somebody just calls in for a ballpark price? That's a price shop price. No, you're judging that call. Okay, that customer just needs to be understood. They need to feel understood. They need to be cared about and need to feel reassured they've called the right place. And I teach them how to book that call. If they want to talk to a technician, once again, the way that I respond to that is we've got a ton of technicians. Let me make sure I'm sending out the right one. Can you tell me more about your situation? What's going on? And most of the time I hear something to the effect of, I've got this air conditioner, I've got this furnace, and it's blowing. It's not blowing air at all. It's not turning on at all. And we're rolling. Tell me more about that. How long has it been doing that? When's the last time you had it? Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Look, we can totally help you with that. Won't you like us out? And then next thing you know, they're saying this afternoon will be good. Tomorrow will be great. When you help them feel understood, when you help them feel cared about, when you help them feel reassured that they've called the right place, they belong. And then simply ask them, would you like to come out? You're going to book that call more times than not. So then you get into other questions like, okay, well, what if it's an advertiser that calls in, Brigham? Are they a customer? And the answer to that is yes, of course. What you do to that, what you do is, let's say somebody calls in wanting to say some billboards, which never happens, except when it does, right? Hey, I've got these billboards. I want to sell them. Fantastic. I'm so glad you called, Mr. Billboard person. Do you happen to live here in the marketplace? Oh, that's great. And you have a home? Yes. Okay, that's great. It's fantastic. How long have you been here? Oh, about 10 years. Oh, that's wonderful. Welcome to the area. Yeah, I've been here my entire life. And in fact, I graduated from this high school and hung out on that street and so on and so forth. Now, let me just say that my boss, she's awesome. But the truth is she only likes to work with those who work with her. Now, if I go back there and tell her there's yet another advertiser on the phone, chances are that she's going to send you right to voicemail. You're not going to get through. But I like you, Mr. Billboard person. I think you're fantastic. If I can get you on a club membership, all right, it's awesome. We come out in the spring, we come out in the fall. Make sure your system is running at peak efficiency. If it ever, the thing about it is that it prevents premature breakdowns from happening. So it's going to benefit you, but it's also going to help you get an appointment with my boss. You see, I'm going to go back there and I'm going to tell her that we have an existing customer that happens to sell billboards. Now, when I tell her that, I promise you, your chances are going to double, maybe even triple, of getting her live on the phone. And by the way, every time I ask in an audience to a group of contractors if they will take a phone call from existing customers that happens to sell billboards, they all raise their hand and say, yes, I will take that call if they are an existing customer. So what we do is we make them existing customers. You guys, if nothing else, you have less advertisers calling you. Why? Because they know that when they call, they're going to become a member.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Okay, so let's say that now in the back of your head you're going, okay, well, who's left then? Because if I want a ballpark price, I've shown you how to book that. What do you charge to come out? I've shown you how to book that. I just want to talk to a technician. I've shown you how to book that. Okay, advertiser, I've shown you how to book that. Your mom calls in. We love moms. We want them to call in just as long as they're ready to buy a membership. Okay, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. We train CSRs to book every call, wow every customer. We have some CSRs that are booking 100% of their phone calls to the point where it's not just about booking the call anymore. It's about wowing that customer, making sure you're the only one going out. 3 years ago, I got a call from a company in Utah. It was all strictly plumbing. That's all they did was plumbing. And he said, hey, I want you to do some ride-alongs over the next few months. And I thought, wow, that's quite a commitment. He says, well, here's why. He said, I think if you can work with them over time, you can actually help them with their soft skills. And I said, well, look, I'm not a technician. He says, I know you're not a technician. They don't need help with that. What they need help with is their ability to connect with the customer. I feel like you can do that better than anybody. And so I said, all right, let's do it. Let's try it for 3 months and see how it goes. So I started working with all of his technicians, and they were bringing in about $500,000 in gross revenue a month when I first started working with them. 3 months later, they were at $700,000 a month. That's an extra $200,000 just off of soft skills, connecting with the customer on an emotional level. But my second day on the job, I was part of a bidding call. Okay, the customer was getting 5 bids on a water heater, and I was their second call. I was so frustrated that I was out there on that call, and I felt like a number. I didn't have a chance with this customer, right? Didn't have a chance to talk to him.
Yeah.
So I went back into the office, and I said, look, I'm not going to go out on any more ride-alongs. And he was kind of dumbfounded. He's like, dude, what happened? What's going on? I said, look, the CSR has the ability to create such an amazing experience over the phone that we become 911. We're the only ones that go out. That's the CSR's job, not just to book the call, make sure that we are the only ones going out. If your CSRs aren't being trained, and they weren't at the time, then I'm wasting my time out there because they're not setting the expectation. They're not setting the right precedent for me to come out. I am a professional. When I come out, it's important for them to value my time. And the way you do that is over the phone. You simply say, Mr. Jones, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send out a technician. He is trained. He is certified. He is backed by our company. He's been around for the last 20 years now. You're in great hands. He's going to come out. He's going to look at the scope of the work. He's going to determine exactly what you need fixed. And he's going to give you a price before he starts. Now, there's a dispatch of X for him to come out and do that. Okay, now some people waive it with work approved, others don't. Doesn't matter. You build value first so that customer feels like, you know what? I've called the right place. People don't get 5 bids because they want to.
No.
They get 5 bids because they feel like they have to.
Yeah.
Especially if everybody all over the phone who's answering sounds the same. Okay? CSRs need to be trained. They need to be held accountable. They need to perform at an extremely high level so that they set the technicians up for success every time.
Yeah, and if they do what you just said, because you know what normally happens, they call these companies, hey, or let's just keep using the water heater. Hey, I'm looking to replace my water heater. How much is it? Oh, well, we don't give prices over the phone. Somebody's got to come out. All right, thanks, bye. Click. And they just wasted that call. And I know there's a lot of techs in here, and they think what we're doing, they're like, oh, that's that slick salesman stuff. Guys, it's not. It's about serving the customer at the highest level. And that is how you set yourself apart nowadays. The wearing booties and, changing the capacitor and leaving, like that doesn't make money. And that's why these businesses, their doors are closing. These businesses that are growing, even the ones that are, 4, 5, 6 years old, and they're double, triple in revenue than these companies that have been around 3 times as long as them, is because they understand this. They have the culture where people go to work because they want to, not because they have to, and they take care of the customer. That's literally what it comes down to in a nutshell. It doesn't matter the product you're selling. You still have to be able to explain that to the customer. Like, you have to take care of people. And that's what's going to keep people coming back. Like, you've heard Brigham say something about membership several times. That's huge for a CSR to be able to sell memberships. And now my maintenance techs have work in the shoulder seasons, especially in Maryland. I don't have the fortunate 8-9 month long summer like some people do. We have 3 months, 4 if it's a great summer. And sometimes that 3 or 4 months will determine whether you end the year in the red or the green. Okay, well, I don't want that to be how it works. So how can I fill the other 6-7 months out of the year? And it's maintenances. It's memberships. People that when something breaks, they're calling us no matter what. They don't even think about it. Oh, let me call them. Let me call Gil. Oh, hey, and that's why some of these bigger companies are trying to provide so many services so the customer never has to leave them. That's the mentality behind it. So you have to serve people and being able to talk to them and know what to say without, you don't have to bullshit people, but you have an answer. You guide them, you make them feel comfortable. And it's amazing how all of a sudden they start to do a lot more business with you.
Yes. And I appreciate you bringing up the fact that CSRs should be selling maintenance agreements over the phone. They should be selling club memberships over the phone. Let's talk about that for just a moment, because I know that there are some technicians that are like, what do you mean? That's my commission you're talking about. Stop it. Okay. Well, how much commission is on the line when they're selling an agreement? Look, if you are out at that home twice a year, you can talk about everything else the customer really needs. Okay. That club membership should already be sold so that you have the opportunity to go into that house twice a year and make sure everything's running the way that it should. I had a locksmith come to my house while I was gone. I was out at an event, and my wife calls me and she says, hey, we have guests in our house and their luggage is locked in the guest room. Why? Well, because the door won't open. Okay. Have you tried a locksmith? And they're like, a locksmith? I thought that was just when you lock your keys in your car door. No, they're a locksmith. They can open doors. That's what they do. Right. And so she calls the locksmith up. The locksmith comes out, gets through the door, changes the doorknob, and then leaves. Guess how many doors we have with the same doorknob? 12. So the first thing I ask my wife is I go, okay, so he replaced that doorknob. What are the chances of it happening elsewhere with all the other doorknobs that are the same type of doorknob? She says, oh, it's a pretty good chance. We have a granddaughter. She's 2 years old. What if she gets locked in one of those rooms? Are we going to wait for a locksmith to come? Or are you going to knock down a door and I'm going to pay for a door, not just a doorknob? You see, I'm not going to blame the locksmith and I'm not going to blame my wife. I'm just saying, in general, we need to think bigger. Okay, we have a tendency to assume what people want. I was doing a ride along with a Mr. Appliance company, and there's a technician. His name is Jake. And Jake was switching out the filter in a refrigerator. So I was standing in front of the refrigerator. The customers were kind of standing by the counter, and we were all talking. Side note, that's the way I like to do it. I like to have the customers always hanging out with us the whole time. I know for some technicians that's uncomfortable, but we can talk later about why that's important. But right now, yeah. So Jake is switching out the filter. Turns out it's a faulty filter. So the first thing Jake says is, well, it looks like you're going to have to take this back to the store and replace it. Now, they started pushing back, saying that they've already been back to the store to try and replace it, but the gal there wasn't very nice. And then he insists, well, you probably ought to go back and talk to somebody else that's there and go ahead and switch it out. At which point I couldn't handle it anymore, and I simply said, or we have a filter in the van. We can get this taken care of right now. Of course, the price is going to be different than you having to go back and switch it out back to the store. We can just get this done right now. Which would you prefer? You see, sometimes we as technicians have a tendency to assume what customers want, and we shouldn't do that ever. Okay, we provide all the options and let them decide which one they like. Now, we have that ability, we have that power as long as the membership is already sold. You guys, if we are tripping over the membership, it gets in the way of all the other stuff that the customer needs. Okay, you're walking by, you see on the coffee table an inhaler. But you're thinking, oh man, we've got to get these guys on the maintenance agreement. No, there's an inhaler there. They have it there for a reason. Or they might have a room humidifier that's sitting in, they got it from Costco, right? It's sitting there in the living room. Or you go past a room and you notice that it's full of stuff. They never go in there. And you find out the reason why is because it seems to be a little bit hotter in there than the rest of the house, depending on the time of the year. And you start to notice things over and over and over again. You guys, if you have a club membership already sold by the CSR, you have the opportunity to go in twice a year and see all the things that are going on and really, truly take care of the customer, not just the thing that you were called out to do. So before I go off too much on technicians, let's just talk about CSRs for a moment. Okay. Chad Simpson, Simpson Salute, awesome guy, awesome company. They're blowing up right now. We're at an event and he stands up. He was sitting in the front at this event that I was speaking at. He stands up, he turns around and he addresses the crowd just right in front of me. And I thought it was a little interesting. And he says, you guys, I have a confession to make. I have spent all of my time with technicians, training them up day in and day out, and not 1 ounce of time on my CSRs. And that's why from this day forward, I am signing up with Powersling Pros. It was the craziest thing ever, right? And I'm not advocating for us or what have you. I'm just simply saying that Chad knew that he would not spend the same amount of time with his CSRs that he would with his techs. All right? Whether you spend time with us or not, I'm going to commit you to spending more time with your CSRs from this time forward. Here's what you're going to work with them on: becoming part of the sales process. Okay, so this is the first thing I want you to teach them. I want you to teach them how to listen to the customer, show them that you care, reassure them that they've called the right place. Okay, those 3. I'm going to give you 3-word phrases that you can take and use today to get your call conversions up by at least 10-15%. You guys ready? I know Gil's ready. Okay, very simple. Get ready to write this down. So listen, dash, write down listen, and then dash, and then 3 words. Tell me more. Ever watched the movie Grease? How's that song go, Gil? Tell me more, tell me more. Yeah, Gil's like, don't make me sing, okay?
Yeah, sadly.
There's got to be at least, it's really late. But yes, that's a way to remember this question, okay? Tell me more is a powerful question. Get them talking. Okay. See, when you're not talking, you can think. You want to be thinking at the beginning of a phone call, not talking. All right. So the way you do that is you simply say, tell me more about that. All right. So tell me more. So underneath listen, you're going to write the word care and a dash. And right next to the dash, you're going to write, that's not good. 3 words. That's not good. Okay. And then right underneath that, you're going to write the word yes. Okay. Because we focus in on what we can do and never what we cannot do. All right. And then dash, and then simply write, I can help. Tell me more. That's not good. I can help. This is how it works. Customer gets on the phone. They say, hey, what do you charge to come out? It really depends on your situation. Can you tell me more about it? And by the way, does it not depend? If they want to replace their system, we'll go out for free. If they want to fix it, there might be a dispatch fee associated there. But either way, I need more information. It's not a put off. It's the truth. The truth is I need to know more before I can answer that question. So, hey, what do you charge to come out? It really depends on your situation. Can you tell me more about it? Yeah, I've got this air conditioner. It's blowing hot air. My gosh, that's terrible. How long has it been doing that? Oh, last couple of days. Well, look, we can totally help you with that. When would you like us out? Oh, this afternoon would be good. And you're rolling.
Yeah.
Okay. With or without us, you can implement that today. Now that's step 1. Step 2, let's say that they go, you get to when would you like to come out? And then instead of saying this afternoon would be good, they say, you know what? This afternoon's good, but I really need to know what that dispatch fee is before I make a decision to go. Totally understand. Here's what we do. What we do is we send out the technician. He comes out. He takes a look at the situation. He determines exactly what you need, and he gives you a price before you start. So he'll look at the scope of the work, determine exactly what you need, and give you that price that you're looking for while he's there. Now, there is a dispatch of X for him to come out and do that. When would you like us out? Well, this afternoon would be good. And you're rolling. Let's say they push back again. X, let's say it's $1 for us to come out. Oh my gosh, $1, that's ridiculous. I'm going to call somebody else. Hey, Mr. Jones, is it just the fee that you're concerned about? Yeah, I don't want to pay it. So if it weren't for the fee, would you move forward with the appointment? Yeah, I would. Okay. Well, there's one thing we do. We've got a club membership. It's awesome. We come out in the spring, we come out in the fall. We make sure it's running at peak efficiency. The best part about it is it prevents things like this, the thing you're dealing with right now, from happening. Now, if I can get you on the membership agreement, it's $29 a month, as opposed to now you pay the dispatch fee. Would that be enough for you to move forward with the appointment today? Now, Gail, most business owners I talk to would absolutely want to trade a dispatch fee for a club membership, right? A long-term customer. They do it all day till Sunday. Okay. So what we do is we give the CSRs tools to book calls, wow customers, make sure you're the only one that goes out, and they move membership agreements. Now, you guys, the membership agreement is kind of a gateway drug. All right. What do I mean by that? If you're compensating your CSRs to sell it, let's say it's $10. Okay, Gil, you want to help me do some math?
Sure.
Let's say that CSRs take 30 phone calls a day. Now, if there's a CSR that's listening to this podcast and they're going, wow, 30 calls, that's all. I take at least 60. And you know what? That may be true, but we're going to be conservative, okay? We're going to be super conservative and say it's 30 calls. Now, let's say out of 30 calls, you book 60% of those calls. Now, side note, the industry average is 42%, according to Service Titan. 42% calls versus set appointments. That's atrocious. Okay, but everybody on this podcast, no, you guys are better than average, right? We both know that. So let's say it's 60%. So 60% out of 30 or 60% of 30 calls is going to be 18 calls, right? Gail, feel free to check my math as I go along. Okay. So 18 calls, let's say that your average ticket's $500. Now I realize that on a replacement call, it's going to be a whole lot higher than that. But on a service call, it may be a little bit less. All right. So let's just average it out at $500. Okay. So we take 18 calls, we times it by 500, and we're going to get something around $9,000. Is that right? $9,000 a day. Is that right, Gil? Okay. So $9,000 a day if you book 18 calls out of the 30. And that's great. That's fantastic. Now let's times it by 5 days a week. I realize we may work more than 5 days a week. Let's just say 5 days. It'll come out around, about 48,000. Is that right? What's the number there? So we take 9,000, we times it by 5. And,
it's 45.
Yeah, 45,000. Thank you. 45,000. See, I was testing him on the math. Just kidding. So 45,000. Now, we don't work 52 weeks a year. We may work 50, right? There's holidays and days that we take off. So let's just times it by 50. So that 45,000, let's times it by 50. And the amount that we should get back should be over $2 million. Yes?
Yep. 2.2 million.
Okay. So 2.25 million. You see, you guys, in the home services industry, the strength and the weakness of our industry is that we can do really well and still make a lot of mistakes. Okay. We can make money and still make mistakes. That's what's great. And what's not so great about our industry. It's the strength and it's the weakness. Okay. And some of us, we're good with what we got. We're good. We write ourselves a nice paycheck every month. We're fantastic. Okay. Time out. You want to build your business to the point where it's not just good for you, it's good for others too. That way you give yourself options. Okay. So you don't want to have just enough. Right? You want to have more than enough so you've got options. You want to stay in it and build it and give it to your son and your son's son. That's great. Your daughter's daughter, that's fantastic. You want to exit later on. You don't want to exit till you're dead. That's fine. You have options when you grow it to a point where it's really, really good. So let's talk about what it would take to make it really, really good. One thing that we absolutely need to do is increase our call conversion. So let's say that we get up to 85%. Same math. 30 calls, we book 85% of those. Now we're booking 25.5 calls instead of 18. All right, Gail, feel free to check my math. Yeah. But it's 25.5 calls, booking at 85% out of 30. Okay, so 85% of 30 calls is 25.5 calls. We are gonna times that by the same average ticket, which is $500. Should be, what is it, 12,000?
Yeah, $750.
Okay, 12,750 times it by 5 days in a week should be around
63.75.
63.75, and then we times it by 50, and now we have
$3,187,000
just by booking 85% of our calls instead of 60. And you guys, that is per CSR. What does that mean? What that means that every one of your CSRs is worth an extra million to you when you go from 60 to 85, and that's a legitimate 85. Okay, because sometimes on certain platforms you can say, "Oh, this wasn't a call." And it was, right? And that can fudge our numbers, and we want to make sure that we keep an eye on that so that we have an accurate rate. But look, you guys, CSRs that are well trained will make you, it'll get your company where you need it to be. And you can do it with calls that are already coming into your office. Now, let's do one more thing. I mentioned to you that club memberships are the gateway drug for CSRs to do more sales. Here's what I mean by that. If out of all 30 of those calls, okay, on every call, because it is a numbers game, you simply ask at the end of that phone call, hey, Mr. Jones, I'm looking at your notes. I noticed that we've been out to your home a few times, and you still don't have a club membership with us. I'm wondering why not. Now, let's say that out of the 30, there are 20 that say, I'm good. I'm not interested. And that's fine. You don't want to push it. Just simply say, no big deal. If you change your mind, just talk to your technician about it. He'll take care of you. What that means, though, is that there are 10 out of the 30 that say, I've never heard of it before. What is it? So let's say that you've got 10 that are very interested in membership. You're like, oh, it's awesome. We come out in the spring. We come out in the fall. We make sure it's running at peak efficiency. The best part about it is it prevents things like this, the things that you're dealing with right now from happening. You see, the emotional angst is what they're feeling now. It's also the best time to sell a membership. Okay? Not after the technician goes out and fixes the problem. The emotional angst is gone. You want to sell that membership when the emotional angst is there. It's the best time to sell it, okay? Now, if you're paying that CSR, if you're let's say it's $10, Gil. Let's say you're paying them $10 for every membership. Now, you have 10 who say they're interested. But let's be really conservative and say that there are only 2 out of those 10 that say, yes, let's move forward, okay? So if we pay them $10 per membership that they sell, and they sell 2, how much money do they make a day, Gil?
$20 more.
$20. 20 now I'm back here going, that's not a big deal. Let's do some math here. Okay. So $20 times 5. Same math, Gil. 20 times 5 is, we all know it. $100 times 50 is $5,000.
Yeah, 5,000. Sorry.
No big deal. So CSRs, when I show them how they can make an extra $5,000, they get really excited about that. Okay. Now there's some companies that, I was talking to a company yesterday. They pay their CSRs $40 a membership. $40. Okay.
Yeah, we do 20.
20's amazing. That means they can make an extra $10,000 a year. Okay. Here's the thing. CSRs are transient if you're not giving them the attention they deserve. Okay. The way that you keep them in their seat doing that same job is by giving them a way to control their own income. You create self-reliance. You create contests. You gamify the department and get them excited about coming to work every day. You help them get to the point where they're saying happy Monday and crappy Friday, as opposed to vice versa. Okay, you want them to be at work rather than being at home. We don't want to ruin families or anything like that, but we want them to be very excited about going to work because they have the ability to control their own income. And once they realize that they can make more money on those inbound calls, what happens when the calls aren't coming in? Oh no, they're not reading their favorite novel anymore. They're calling out. They're calling out and they're talking about memberships, and it's on happy calls. Hey, Mr. Jones, we were out to your house last week. How are things going? Oh, it's working well. It's so nice of you to call and check on me. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. The reason why I was calling is because I noticed, as I'm just kind of looking here, you didn't ever get a membership with us. I'm wondering why not. Oh, a membership? I don't know if the technician talked about it. Now, if you're a technician here listening to this podcast, you're like, I totally talked about the membership. It's okay. Customers are going to say things. It doesn't matter, right? They'll say things. And it's no skin off your back. Don't worry about it. We simply say, oh, well, here's what we do. We come out in the spring and the fall and make sure it continues to run the way that it should. The thing that happened to you last week was not great, and we don't want that to happen again. So if we can get you on this membership, we can help prevent things like that from happening in the future. We move memberships. Now, once they start doing that, you guys, now we can do some fun stuff. Okay? Customer calls in, and we've taken care of them. We've done services, say, 3 or 4 times over the last 5 years. And you can bring that up as a CSR. Hey, Mr. Jones, I'm looking at your notes. I noticed that we serviced that same system for several years now. It looks like it's about 12 years old. Yep, it's 12 years old. It looks like you've gotten some great life out of it. Yep, gotten some great life. Have you ever considered replacing it? You guys, if they say yes, why wouldn't we book an appointment with a comfort advisor as well as the technician? Now, I realize that some technicians on this phone call going, wait a minute, that's my commission you're talking about here. Time out. Look. If we can give them ways to make money, not only will they be better at their job, setting you up for success, but they'll grow the company. Let's have an abundance mentality here. Let's make them part of the selling process so that they keep us busy. You guys, if I'm a smart technician, I'm going to go in on a regular basis and put an apple on somebody's desk that is booking my phone calls. I'm going to get them their favorite energy drink. Whatever their favorite sandwich is, I'm going to make sure that they have that. Why? Because when they send me out to homes, that affects my income.
Yeah.
It affects my income. It affects my pocketbook. I'm going to take care of that person. All right. Enough on CSRs. So our goal is to get them into the selling process. Okay, we take our call center and we turn it into a profit center. And the way that we do it is through club memberships. You guys, you shouldn't have to sell that over the phone. You should be selling indoor quality products. You should be selling mini splits and everything that the customer is in need of legitimately, not tripping over the membership. Let the CSR do it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And if God forbid they don't and it's available, then the techs can still take over. But, I got some techs in here like, oh, the techs are the important ones. And guys, this is about everybody having their role, and that's the point of this. It's the days of the office versus the techs, the installs versus, service, like those days are over, and that doesn't help anybody. It's not a wiener measuring contest. That's just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything. But memberships are huge on how a company grows. I know a lot of you do commercial stuff and you're not in the residential world, but even memberships and maintenances are huge in the commercial world. I mean, that's the truth. I know some of you work for bigger companies, but in the residential world, memberships are the value of your company. I've told you this. If a guy wants to sell his company and he's got 100,000 names, customer list, but he only has 2,000 memberships, well, guess what? They're going to base the value off of those 2,000 memberships because they're the only ones that are actually going to call him when something breaks. And there's more to that. I'm being very vague when I say that, but that is very, very, very important. So as a technician, I want you guys to think about it like this. Would you rather have really good CSRs that the customer is happy? They're like, man, that was an amazing experience. They bought the membership. You get out there and the customer, then you take it from there. Now you're really good at what you do because you've been properly trained. And they're like, you go out, you do your thing, you leave with a ticket, or say you sell a new system, then your installers are properly trained. Then they do it. That's how you get 5-star reviews and a company starts to grow. It's really that simple. So don't think about it more than it is. And I'm better than this. And I know some comments are joking, but that's literally how easy it is to break it down. And that's how it should be, because a lot of people also, if the company's able to be more efficient and make more money, that's how you can pay more. You guys know how I feel. It's not about book more calls and have my technicians run 90 calls a day. I'd rather them run 3-4 properly booked calls and be able to make more money and be home for dinner. That's how I feel about it.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Sounds like the technicians need a little bit of love. So let's give them a little bit of love, shall we?
Yeah, they definitely, they're in their feelings.
In their feels. So look, I'm going to tell you guys up front, I'm not a technician, but I've had hundreds of companies hire me to come out and do ride-alongs with their techs to focus in on soft skills. Okay, I may not be a technician, but when you get me in front of the homeowner, by the time I'm done, the homeowner thinks I'm a technician, to the point where it's kind of a joke between me and the technicians. Mm-hmm. Okay. The goal is to connect with the customer in such a way that they feel comfortable and you've created such a connection that you have the ability to help them with all of their needs, not just the thing you were called out for. Okay, so here's what I like to do is I simply say, and this question is only good for technicians. I would never ask a group of CSRs this question. Okay, you guys ready? It's very simple. How do you get kissed on a date? Now, funny thing, whenever I ask that question and I'm in front of a group of technicians, it doesn't matter how early it is in the morning anymore. They're sitting up in their chair because they're about to learn something really cool. And even if they're married, right? You and I both know they haven't been kissed in weeks. So they're all listening, right? They're all engaged. There's three things that you need. Number one, you've got to create an environment of safety. Your date needs to feel safe before you're ever going to get kissed. Okay. Number two, they need to feel comfortable. They've got to be comfortable. If they don't feel comfortable, it's going to be very difficult for you to get kissed. And lastly, they need to have just a little bit of fun. Okay. Now, this is usually when a smart, ugly technician goes, "Oh, so you want us to kiss our customers?" No, I don't. I don't want you to do that. But I do want you to create an environment of safety, comfort, and fun, because inside that environment, what you've done is you've created a buying environment. You guys, people love to buy. They love to shop. And so you want to create that environment first. And I have found, and I can't wait for the comments that come in from your guys, but look, I have found that inside the front door, if you take 10 minutes, maybe 15, stay put right there and talk about whatever comes up. Okay, there's one time I think it was Finding Dory. The movie Finding Dory was on there, and his two kids were watching Finding Dory, and I simply brought it up while they were watching it. And he says, "Oh, I love this movie. There's such a great message." And he begins to describe the profound, deep message behind Finding Dory. And I was right there with him, and we were talking about it and just kind of philosophizing back and forth. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, you know what? I need to show you something." And then he turns his back and he motions at me to follow him. Now, the technician standing right next to me was frozen. Why? Because he wanted to go to the box. He goes to the box. It's time to go to the box now. And he was frozen. He didn't want to follow the guy. And I'm going, dude, I had to actually grab him by the elbow and pull him from that spot that he was stuck in and motion to him to follow the guy. We just earned the tour. That's your goal, is to earn the tour. Yeah, you create an environment of safety, comfort, and fun by spending a little bit of extra time just inside that front door. And I realize when I say a little bit of extra time, there's a big difference between my little bit of time and your little bit of time. You might be there for 30 seconds. I'm literally saying 10, 15 minutes, just chatting it up, getting them to a point where they feel safe, they feel comfortable, they're having just a little bit of fun. Because inside that environment, you will earn that tour. And when you start walking around earning that tour, you're going to notice things. You're going to be very curious about what's going on inside the customer's home. And you bring it up, and they might bring it up. Let me show you. See how it does this and this. There are things that people put up with. You guys, if it's plumbing, they likely put up with water that comes up to their ankles in a shower. You see, it's a shower. The water's not supposed to come up to your ankles in the shower. Okay, and so what do? They go and they buy Drano and they put it down their lines, and you're going, that's a mistake. Nobody should be putting Drano down anything. We know that. Customer doesn't know that. You get it at Home Depot. If it was bad, why would they sell it? Okay, that's how a customer thinks. Yeah. And so when they're explaining that none of this stuff works, you have the opportunity to provide services. Did I say sales? No. Provide services. That's how these things come up. You can go and do the thing that you're called out to do, or you can take care of everything. Remember the locksmith that I told you about, Gil? Yeah. That's what the locksmith should have done. He should have replaced all the doorknobs, or at least offered to do so. And guess what? I don't want to do it. A technician may say, "Oh, I would do that myself." Guess what? I'm calling you because I don't want to, or I don't know how. Everyone that can do it themselves and want to do it themselves won't even call you. Yep. They're calling you because they don't know how or they don't want to, which means you want to find all the stuff that they don't know how to do or don't want to do in one fell swoop instead of going there over and over again, hoping that they call you and not somebody else. You guys, that's bad customer service. Going out and doing only the thing that you're called out to do without at least working towards the tour, it's just not great customer service. Okay. So what does a good job look like? A good job looks like our ability to earn that tour, get curious about what's going on inside the customer's home. We provide all the options and simply get to yes or no. Did I say anything about selling? No. I simply want you to be curious, provide options, and get to yes or no. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I teach. And the technician side, I always say this, you can be the best technician in the world. I mean, you know everything to a scientific level, all that stuff. But if you can't communicate that to the customer, especially in residential, okay, I want to make sure if you can't communicate that to the customer, it might end up still being a bad experience. The customer doesn't realize that they just had one of the smartest individuals in the trade that they were working with, because what you did and the problem and what's going on, you could not communicate it to the customer. That's why I always say you need to be good technically and able to communicate. I never use the word sales either.
Yeah. So what are the technicians saying now, Gil?
Well, there's a bunch of there's commercial guys. So, and some of them do. Yeah, some of them do. Like my friend Jason, my buddy Rookie Scott, he does more commercial stuff, and my buddy Jason does like industrial. So he's not really their contracts. He's not really doing with customers, but nothing bad besides my friend Rookie busting my balls saying technicians are God, and he's just being an ass.
Oh boy.
That's what he does. He's my moderator. He keeps, well, all my moderators are in here now, but yeah, he's just busting my balls. But yeah, no, they get it, because you have to be able to communicate, and the communication is what, like I said, what makes me proud. The last company that they know, Beltway, that I was the general manager of, I had three or four technicians under 25 that were making $100,000+ a year. You know,
I love that. I love to hear that, especially from my son. I can't wait for him to make that kind of dough at his age. Look,
yeah.
We have the greatest job in the world. We really do. I don't say that tongue in cheek. When an individual, whether they're in the CSR department, whether they're out in the field, has the ability to make as much money as they want, taking great care of customers, feeling good about what they do when they go home at night. Guys, there's nothing better than that. We need to remember how much fun this job is. Unless you have other questions, I want to summarize with an experience I had back in July. Is there anything else you want me to cover before I?
No, that was good, because we'll start wrapping this up here in a minute. So please, let's hear this. So
my birthday's on July 24th, and I was working. I purposely scheduled some CSR training and some technician type training as well. And I was going to do it all on my birthday for a company called Larson's Heating and Cooling in Scottsdale, Arizona. In July, 120 degrees. And I felt like that would be my idea of a good time. And the truth is, it was the best birthday I've ever had. And I'll tell you why. When I got there, I don't know how they figured out that it was my birthday. Perhaps my team told them. But I was there training CSRs, and next thing I know, they bring up this red velvet cake. Red velvet cake's like my favorite, right? So I'm there training, and they bring up this cake. I've never had anybody give me cake while I'm training, so it was just kind of a cool experience. So I was just kind of thinking about all of that while I was training the CSRs, and then afterwards, I went and I started answering phones later on in the day after training the CSRs, because I don't like just training the CSRs and leaving. I like training them and then getting into the call center and showing them how the energy should be inside the call center. And you guys, it's fun. It's a blast. All right. So you're taking care of customers, you're answering phones, and I don't know how to answer phones without standing up. I am on my feet taking care of that customer. Right. And so there's one customer that calls in. Her name is Sarah. She was a doctor. Her husband and her both were doctors. They had 2 daughters, and their system wasn't working. Okay, remember, it's July 24th. 120 degrees outside, and they've got a system that's not working. Now, the reason why she was calling us is because she already had another company tell her, the one that she was working with, it was going to take 2 weeks to get her new system installed. And they couldn't get the system that they had working because it was 20 years old. All too familiar story. And she was in dire straits. So she kept on asking, okay, but Brigham, I can't go without AC. Okay, but Brigham, I can't go without AC. And finally, I stopped and I said, Sarah, I've got you. I said those exact words, Sarah, I've got you. And then she paused for a moment and she said, okay, what are we going to do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send out a technician. No, the other guys couldn't get it working. I know, but it wasn't my technician that was out there. Okay, I'm going to send my technician out there. Now, I had already done ride-alongs with these technicians. I know which one was the best. I knew which one I was going to choose to get out there. And I said, he's going to get out there and he's going to get that thing working. And tell you what, we're going to have that thing replaced by the end of the week. CSR manager tapped me on the shoulder and was like, And I said, it's fine. I put my hand up and said, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Sarah, you're going to be well taken care of. We'll call you as soon as we know the details. But a technician will be at your house by the end of the day today, and we'll have something taken care of. We'll have something done and a new system in your house by the end of the week. Okay? So I get off the phone and CSR manager goes, what the heck? Why? Because I took some risks, right? I didn't see what kind of situation that system was in. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that we could get it going. Okay. If we've been working for the last 20 years, there's something we could do to get it going for another freaking day.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my assumption. So I was taking some risks. I was betting. All right. And so then she says, yeah, but we are booked out in our install department for 2 weeks. There's no way we're going to get out this weekend. I said, cool. I'll be right back. So I walk into the install department and say, hey guys, how's it going? Sounds like you're having fun in here. Okay, cool. How does your weekend look? Oh, there's no way. We are chock full. I was like, cool, that's awesome. Here's the thing, you guys. I've got a situation. And then I explained Sarah's entire story. Her story, how she's working 12 hours a day. She's saving lives every day in the hospital. And her kids are uncomfortable and the whole 9 yards. The installers are kind of looking through their schedule and they see a sliver of an opening on Friday. Well, it depends on how far away she is. Oh, she's 10 minutes away. It's no big deal. It's really 12 minutes, but I was just saying, right? It's just so close. It's so close. We can do it. We can get it done. Well, Comfort Advisor's got to go out and make sure that it can be sold. It's going to be sold. It's going to be done. We're sending out a Comfort Advisor tomorrow. All right, great. So we dispatch the technician. I run over. I throw a technician uniform on, one of those polos, right? I get in my car. I'm in a rental. Drive out there. Technician's already there. Already on the scene of crime, right? Darn thing's not working. His door is open. He's rummaging around, grabbing his tools. And as soon as he sees me, he's like, bro, it's dead, bro. It's not going to work. And I'm like, no, you could do this, man. I know you can do this. He grabs his tools. He's like, all right, let me take a second look at it. He goes back. He starts working on it. And all of a sudden we hear this. Right? He puts the plug back in. We hear and it's rolling, dude. It's rolling. Okay. So he looks at me. He's like, what's up? I pull out my phone. I take a picture of both of us. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. I go to the front door, knock on the door. Sarah answers. She goes, did you see that? Yeah, I totally heard it. Went on. Look, it's pulling out cold air. That's amazing. Okay. Hopefully it'll stay working throughout the night. Your Comfort Advisor is going to be here tomorrow morning. Okay. That's great. He'll give you all your options. Like, I don't care. I just can't wait. By the way, are you the owner? No, I'm not the owner. But I care about you and I care about your situation. I want to make sure you're taken care of. Comfort Advisor comes the next day, sells an $18,000 system. Installed that weekend on Friday. Sometimes we have to remind everyone inside the organization how fun this job is. Fun it is. We're doing great work for great people.
Impacting people's lives.
Yes.
And I love to help people. And that's why I love industrial. I love residential. I love the complexity of the work. I do. But what drew me to residential was that I was able to impact people's lives, and it was their money. It was their wallet. And you can do it with, commercial and stuff like that. But normally you're dealing with managers and other people. And that's why I stayed in the residential field so long, because I enjoyed it. Yes, you get the occasional bad one, but I love building those relationships that I got people for 20 years and 25 years now. They follow me where I go. I've watched their kids grow up. They know my kids' names. It's powerful. Yes. And after I build that relationship, now they're friends. They're friends on social media. And if somebody says, my AC's broke, I don't care what your problem is, call Gil wherever he is.
Yes.
It happens all the time. And that means the world to me. And that's what I want people to know. Like, yes, we're technicians and we fix people's stuff, but we impact people's lives. I remember selling a lady an indoor air quality package, and it ended up being, it was like $4,500. I mean, needed everything. I mean, humidity control, cleaning the air, filtration, all that kind of stuff. And she was crying because she was happy when I left. I left there like, man, this is amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she was happy because she didn't know that I could even fix that problem for her. And she's still a customer to this day. She's friends with me on Facebook, and if I leave or I'm training at a new company or I'm running a new company, she messaged me, and normally I tell her, hey, that company's good, stay there, stuff like that. But normally she wants to come wherever I am.
I love that. See, Gil, it is the best industry in the world. By the way, like I said before, that was my birthday. The best birthday I've ever had. So just remember, you're in the greatest industry in the world. You're doing the best job ever. And keep it that way. Make sure people feel it and know it by the way that you approach it.
I agree 100%. And that's an amazing story. And especially doing it, on your birthday makes it even more special, because you were on a day that's supposed to be about you. You made it about somebody else, a stranger, technically. That's powerful. And I feel the same way about that. I rather give than receive. And when you do that in the long run, it's, kind of like when you tell people, if you worry about money or you try to make money, you won't. If you worry about taking care of the customer and serving them to the highest level, it's funny how you end up making more money. And you feel good about it. The kind of money that you can sleep at night and not feel like you beat somebody up and took their wallet or their checkbook. Because I won't be associated with that. I won't be around that. No company I'm ever affiliated with will be like that at all, or I won't be affiliated with them.
Yes.
So, I think that's a perfect way to close this, man. I know we've been here twice as long because of the errors, but Brigham, I thank you so much for coming on, man. And like I said, maybe some people don't see it, but I know what you do is powerful. I've seen it, and I know that they were trained by you, especially by what they said when you said the happy call. I know that. And then we also have these training calls, where if it's a certain age or whatever, that the tech will go out and then the comfort advisor will meet them there to, conserve the opportunity. So I'm glad that they did that. And anybody out there listening, if you are a business owner, the manager who runs the company, whatever it is, I highly suggest that you give Power Selling Pros a call to train your CSRs. Your marketing budget you'll have to lower it a little bit, because you're not going to be able to handle the work that you have, because you're going to realize how much money you've been pissing down the drain. I promise you, I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen it several times.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. The link, and I'll say this at the end, so I don't got to say it right now, but obviously, I'll have all the links to be able to get in touch with you. Is there anything that you want to say here closing, brother?
No, you said it all. Appreciate it. Look forward to working with you and your team, for those of you who feel you need it.
Awesome. Thank you, Brigham. I'm going to close this out real fast, my man. All right, everybody. That's what I was going to say. I know some of you technicians, this isn't your cup of tea. I get it, but this is powerful whether you realize it or not. Um, and as somebody who's been trying to help grow, uh, residential companies for quite a few years, I know how powerful this is because every dollar counts when you're running that business. And there's a lot of people that spent, and I'm going to tell you this, and I wish that I could get Ryan from Beltway on here because he'll concur to this. When you properly train your CSRs like this, at one point at Beltway, we were spending $10,000, $10 to $12,000 a month on marketing. When the CSRs got properly trained and we were doing more with the calls, we were able to do more revenue. And now we spent $4,000 a month, saved $8,000 a month while producing more revenue. The technicians had plenty of work. They were happy. They had good qualified calls they were going to with happy customers. It changes everything. It's the atmosphere, the culture, all of that. So please know how powerful that is. That's why people feel like they're wasting money on marketing. That's why. All right. So anybody out there, the link is going to be in the description of the show notes when the audio comes out. I have to add it to this video, to be honest, because I had to put it out last minute. But just go to powersellingpros.com. And if there's a place, tell them that, you heard Brigham on HVAC Uncensored, and they will take care of you. I promise you that. With that being said, man, thank you guys for bearing with me. If you listened to last week's podcast, like I said, I got some things going on in the personal life, but I will live. I will be okay. I thank all of you for your messages, your text messages, emails. I appreciate it, man. I really do. I tried to answer most of you, especially the text messages. I did not answer all the emails, but I will be back at it. I'll be here every Wednesday. And I thank all of you for coming back, man. I love seeing your names and hearing you in their chat. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you very much for bearing with this. 2024 has been a one kick in the nuts after another, but it's fine. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'll always be okay. I promise you that. So I thank you guys for your support. That's what I want to say. But with closing this out, please make sure you follow the podcast on all the social media sites to stay up to date as much as possible. I know there hasn't been much to see lately, but there is moving forward. We'll get back on track here. And yep, that's about it. I won't keep boring you with that stuff. But as far as closing it out, man, please be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel when you're driving, no matter what it is. I want all of you to make it home the same way that you left. All right. Crazy drivers. All right. Pay attention. Put your phone down. Be careful with what you're doing. Make sure the breaker's turned off. Practice safety. Like whatever it is, just please be safe. All right. I don't want to see anything happen to any of you out there. Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl. All right. Nowadays, there's no excuse to say, I don't know. Because if you really don't know, it's because you didn't want to. We have the internet. We have the power of all this information at our fingertips. There's YouTube videos, podcasts, online sites that you can use. I've told you guys, we have Interplay Learning. That is amazing. You can use, 3D training and stuff like that to do stuff. There's the SkillCat app. I've had them on here. Amazing app to be able to learn, $10 a month. And you can learn whatever you want throughout the trade. So there's always something to do, even if it's not even work related. Keep getting better. There's no such thing as staying the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. That's it, period. I promise you, there's no such thing as staying stagnant in life. It just doesn't happen. If you're not moving forward, you're slowly creeping backwards. All right. And with that being said, I love you, mofos. Thank you again for being here. And I'll talk with y'all next week. All right. Stay safe. Get ready for Thanksgiving. And I will see you next Wednesday for the pre-Thanksgiving show. All right. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored Podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.
See you, everybody, and thank you to all of my moderators for being here. Appreciate you, fellas.